Hi and welcome along to Transfer Daily, the show that takes a look at players linked with a January transfer move to Arsenal. And the deal almost done, the deal for Gabriel Paulista. It's been the most talked about deal over the past week of any football club. And it's bringing in that defender, that backup defender that Arsenal need. We saw yesterday again that Nacho Monreal, who is a left back, having to fill in that centre back position. And we desperately needed a backup defender. We needed a backup defender from the summer. But it looks like we've got our man now, and it's going to be Gabriel Paulista. Arsene Wenger last night admitting that, yes, the deal has been done, and expecting to get it all signed up within the next couple of days. And he also seemed to have no issue whatsoever about the whole work permit issue. When asked about that, he said, you know, yeah, that should be okay. It seems like it's almost a formality. I think the way in which Arsenal are going to work this is to try and get it through with the sort of special talent. Of course, the ways you do get a work permit is either you've had to have played a certain amount of games for your country, which Gabriel Paulista hasn't. You have to have an EU passport. He doesn't have that. But you can also get it if you're a special talent, or if you can even prove that this player, by playing for Arsenal, is going to, you know, end up in the Brazil squad. You can get it that way as well. And there is a statistic that says that about 78% of the appeals that go through these sort of players does get through. And Arsenal, they seem very, very confident that they're not going to have any problem with this visa. And the way in which Arsenal operate in such a professional manner, you would have thought that they've already sort of done their homework on this one and know that the Paulista deal is going to go through. So expect to see this one happening within the next couple of days. Gabriel Paulista signing for Arsenal, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see how he gets on. Of course, he's going to have to settle into the club, but I was looking at some of the stats, and you know, if you look at some of the stats, it looks good. It looks good for some of the stats. You can see there on that comparison that's just come up, comparing Paulista, Koscielny and Mertesacker. Of course, these are the stats for 2014-15. Paulista, of course, playing in La Liga, the other two in the Premier League. But blocks, he does very well on blocks. Interceptions, he's actually ahead of Koscielny and Mertesacker, so that suggests that, you know, he's very good at interception, reads the game very well. Clearance is very good, 5.15 in comparison, better than Koscielny and Mertesacker. That means that he's very good in the air, very strong in, you know, getting clearances done. Tackle success, though, not as good as Koscielny and Mertesacker. That could be because as well that in La Liga, there's a little less tackling that goes on as much as in the Premier League. And look at his pass completion rate. That's not bad either, 85%. Not as good as Koscielny and Mertesacker, but still compares very, very favourably and should get even better when he joins Arsenal. So Gabriel Paulista about to join Arsenal, and everybody's going to be really looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Possibly could be in the team for the weekend. So, you know, if he can get that deal done, he could be in the squad for that game at the weekend. Another player that we're hearing about today is interesting Arsenal a lot, is Sergio Busquets. We all know Busquets is. He's a defensive midfielder, plays for Barcelona now. He's currently trying to negotiate a new contract. And it's not been all smooth riding so far with his new contract. And of course, that's alerted a lot of Europe's top clubs. Arsenal, Arsene Wenger's an admirer of Sergio Busquets, of course, not just a defensive midfielder, but also excellent on the ball. And, you know, he's also interested in other clubs like Manchester United. All the usual suspects are interested in Busquets. Whether this is sort of a very strong link or not, I'm not sure. It could be more to do with the fact that he's trying to get a new contract done, and if it's not just flown through and going smooth, obviously he's going to get linked to a load of clubs, and everybody knows that we need a defensive midfielder. So Busquets gets linked to Arsenal. But I reckon it will probably be that he does still sign his deal and extend his stay at Barcelona. But we're gonna have to watch that one over the coming time. Even if that does happen, that wouldn't be a deal that would get done, I don't think, in January. I think you're probably more looking at something for the summer. But Sergio Busquets at the moment, deal not quite gone through or not quite happening at the moment at Barcelona. So Arsenal heavily linked with him. A player that we've been heavily linked to all throughout the transfer window, just won't go away, being linked again today, and that is Matteo Destro, striker who plays for Roma. We're also linked with him, remember, in the summer. Now, this is really interesting. I mean, we've been told by Arsene Wenger that he's not really looking for strikers. Joel Campbell's, remember, is going out on loan to Villarreal. Yaya Sanogo, who scored at the weekend, he's on loan as well out there at Crystal Palace. So it seems a mystery. Why would we be going in for Destro? But the Destro rumours just keep coming and coming and coming. And, you know, I was told the other day that there is something in this. Arsenal have been looking at Matteo Destro. Again, I don't know if this will be a January deal, possibly a summer deal. But I don't know, man. Matteo Destro, who can't get into the Roma team, being kept out of the team by the likes of Gervinho. Is he an Arsenal type player? Is he the sort of player that Arsenal should be looking at? But there've definitely been some strong links with Destro, who is available to buy. So we're going to have to watch this space on that one and see what happens with that. Arsenal's chief scout as well, Gilles Grimondi, was also in France at the weekend, and he was watching Lyon. And we all know that Lyon have got a whole host of players there that are interested in a lot of the top clubs around Europe. Now, he was over there in France to watch Lyon. They played against Metz. They won. Lyon doing very, very well at the moment in France. And he was probably running his eye over several players. There's 3 players in particular that seem to be interested in Arsenal at the moment that play for Lyon. One of them, Alexandre Lacazette. We've spoken about him here on the show. Striker. He's the top striker in France at the moment. He's banging in the goals, left, right, and centre. French player, French international, and he is exciting everybody at the moment. Lyon president saying, listen, if I sell this guy, I want about 28 million for him. He's just as good as somebody like Wilfred Boney. But Lacazette could have been one of the players that Arsenal were taking a look at over the weekend. They could also have been taking a look at an attacking midfielder who plays for Lyon as well. It goes by the name of Nabil Fekir, if I pronounced that right? And he, again, attacking midfielder, very skillful, very pacey, very creative, been doing big things in France this season. Only young, only 21 years of age. And a lot of people think that James Grimondi would have been running his eye over him because he is definitely a top prospect at the moment. And finally, another player that it's been said that Gilles Grimondi was having a look at, and this player is a player that has been interested in Arsenal for a while. They were actually really looking at him last season and throughout the summer, and considering bringing him in for that defensive midfielder position, and that's Maxime Gonalons. And Gonalons is that holding midfielder. He's very strong. The sort of holding midfielder that I think a lot of Arsenal fans would love to see. And, you know, he's one of these holding midfielders that's his job. He just holds. He just sits there in front of that back four, and he makes sure that they're not attacked, that he deals with any problems. And James Grimondi apparently was running his eye over him again. As I said, Arsenal have been interested in Gonalons for a while now, and it looks like they were taking a look at those 3 players whilst they were out there. Of course, Francis Coquelin has been doing a great job for Arsenal. We saw again yesterday. I thought when he came on, one of the fans that we interviewed yesterday after the game said once Coquelin came on, he just steadied it again, sat in front of that back four, Do we need a defensive midfielder? Do we have the answer there in Coquelin? I mean, it's really going to be interesting to look how he gets on from now until the end of the season. But Coquelin definitely looking the part at the moment. And great victory, by the way, by Arsenal yesterday. I think 3-2, well done to Brighton for staying in it, but I think 3-2 really flattered them. I mean, it was a very, very comfortable game. It's almost as if the only couple of shots that Brighton had, they scored from. But we should really have won it more comfortably. It was very comfortable by Arsenal. Very accomplished performance, very professional performance. They took the game seriously. It was almost as if the results at the weekend really, well, their manager even admitted it, woke them up and made them realise that, listen, you cannot go to these so-called minnows and not put in a performance. You'll get beat, as we saw with Chelsea and Manchester City and Spurs at the weekend. Let's have a look what you guys were saying or had to say yesterday about some of the transfer links. Arsenal FC editor said, Yaya Sanogo doing a good job for us, he said, knocking out Southampton. He said, what a day to be alive. He said, Chelsea knocked out, Manchester City knocked out, Tottenham knocked out, Liverpool have to replay at Bolton, Man United have to replay against Cambridge, and Arsenal sign a centre-half. Good times, all right. Shadow Waveness says, I'd rather have Coquelin in the first team and sell Wilshere. He's too injury prone. Statistics show that the team plays better when he's not on, and Coquelin has been really wonderful. Let's not get carried away. It's only been a few games for Coquelin. He's done brilliant, but Jack Wilshere was on fire before he got that injury, and you cannot discount a talent like Jack Wilshere. He's a brilliant player. I'd like to see the two of them operating in that midfield. That would be great. Man from the Orient says, why don't we keep Campbell? He's a fantastic player and should get a chance to play because he is quality. We saw with Bellerin and Coquelin that if a player gets a run of chances, then they turn out to be a top-class performer, and I think Coquelin could have real quality. Lofty Adrian says, this is another one. He said, I'd rather sell Wilshere and keep Coquelin. Oh, listen, come on. Excuse me. Listen, that comment's even drawing me to sneeze. Listen, stop dissing Jack Wilshere. That's what's made me allergic now. Stop dissing Jack Wilshere. The guy was on fire, as I said, before he got injured. He's a quality player. Coquelin's coming out of some good games. We're really pleased with that. But Jack Wilshere is a top performer. I'm not going to have that. Jack Wilshere will be back and will be able to perform at a top level. The Dizzy 2000 says, even though we don't need a forward, I still think we should get Lacazette. He said he'd be a great player to get our hands on, and I believe he is a talent. We should buy him and have Giroud and Welbeck as backup. Listen, we haven't even seen the guy perform yet in the Premier League, what he'd be like, but, you know, Lacazette, he's looking the part, definitely. True Guna says, Kevin Grosskreutz, why? And this is Grosskreutz that we spoke about yesterday from Dortmund. He says, why? Keep the money. He's not worth it. Better fullbacks out there. Even if it's just a bench player, Paulista, and that's about it. Really expect not much else. Vish should be good enough for fourth place push. Fred Ferguson says, am I the only one who's disappointed with the signing of Paulista? I wanted a world-class defender. To be honest, there's not, when you talk about world-class defenders, we're talking about Hummels, there's a couple others, and they're all cemented at their clubs. So you're going to have to bring in somebody who's looking like a top prospect and develop them. And kind of finally finish with this one. Very smart. And by the way, so many comments yesterday. It's absolutely brilliant. Ryan Horn says, I love this one. He says, I thought Paul Easter was English. Paul Easter. Very funny, mate. Very funny. That's a good one. Thanks for watching Transfer Daily today. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, there's only about a week left of the transfer window. Paul Easter's been done. Biliak has been done. Are we going to get any more deals done across the line before deadline day? And don't forget, on deadline day, as usual, Arsenal Fan TV are going to be down there at the Emirates. We'll be interviewing fans. We'll be finding out just who we've signed on deadline day. Arsenal always pull something out at the last minute or disappoint. Either one, we'll be there on deadline day to find out what's happening. Thanks for watching Transfer Daily. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow.